Lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
It's off to Leonard. Defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
High fly ball, right field. Grossman back, track, wall, see ya! Into the second deck. A grand slam the other way for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are pouring it on.
For the latest news throughout the sports world, tune in to Sports Talk with R&J every Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast, Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
What's going on, basketball fans? It is a Tuesday afternoon, and we are into the conference finals here. I'm joined by King Zay and Sean Scanlon. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Real good.
Doing good, brother.
Real good.
All right, so before we get into the playoff games here, conference finals are all set, and the West finals have begun, and Game 2 will take place tonight. The draft lottery is also tonight. A lot of bad teams in the mix there, the likes of the Bulls, the Kings, the Rockets, etc. Pistons, I believe, are in there. I don't know if there's any teams that made the playoffs that have made any kind of trades that are in there that really wouldn't be in there otherwise. But like we talked a lot about college basketball when March Madness came around. Sean, I'm going to ask you this. Is there a certain player you think is going to go number one in this draft? Do you think it's like a set pick, or do you think there's multiple players that could go in this number one slot?
I think it's between two players. I think Cade Cunningham, obviously. I think that he's, the consensus number one prospect. But I think that Evan Mobley can go number one, too. I think that, he's a big that's very versatile. I mean, he could, he's a great defender, and, he can go out and shoot the ball, too. He can space the floor. So I think depending on which team gets it, I think that they'd go either route. But I think that if the Rockets end up getting it, I think they'll go Cade Cunningham, because I think Christian Wood is already their established big. So I don't think they would go with Mobley. But I think there is a couple of teams that, depending on whoever gets the number one pick, could go with Mobley, depending on their needs, obviously. So I think it's between those two.
Yeah, Isaiah, so like I mentioned, a lot of bad teams. The Rockets, the Pistons, and the Magic all have the same odds for the number one pick, and floating around down in the middle there. Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Minnesota, Toronto, Chicago, and Sacramento, and New Orleans all have above a 4% chance to land that top pick. We saw a couple years ago with the Pelicans, they weren't at the bottom of the league, but they won the lottery and ended up jumping to the top and selecting Zion Williamson. Any players in this draft you want to see go to certain teams? Are there any fits you think in this draft, or you think it's kind of just best available?
I kind of agree with Sean here. It's going to be one of those situations where this isn't like the NFL where it's cut and dry and you normally know what the team needs and where they're placing in the draft. This is a different situation where anyone could be placed anywhere, because obviously it's a ping pong lottery. So We don't know who's going to be at any position. And like Sean said, it's going to be about needs. I agree, though. I think the Rockets, maybe if you add a Cade Cunningham, they should have probably gotten Ben Simmons to help solidify a point guard. It would have been a good trade back then if they could have got James Harden. Probably would have helped them got a little farther in the playoffs. But I think it's going to be one of those situations that we're going to have to just sit and wait on this. I don't think we'll really truly know until the ping pong balls are drawn and the draft is solidified.
Yeah, I agree. Sean, I like your pick of Cade Cunningham first overall. I think really no matter what team gets that pick, he will go there. But there's a lot of talent in this draft. Evan Mobley, like you mentioned, is a very good player. We also locally, I don't know, Zay's not a Connecticut guy, but you see Sean's wearing a UConn shirt. James Bouknight's projected to go in the lottery. So that's something to look out for us down here in CT. Isaiah, I don't know. You got anyone you want the Knicks to take? They'll be selecting probably in the low teens, early 20s.
I'm actually pretty solid on the team. I don't think the Knicks will actually be picking. I think they'll be trading that pick, trying to package it to get a better player to help bolster up that team. Hopefully then make a run at maybe a Kawhi Leonard or somebody to help us
Same time
off season.
Same time.
I don't think it'll be enough for Dame Lillard. I don't think that pick would be in a spot where they'd be like, yeah, let's give them Dame Lillard, let's give them our $150,000 man for, a number 20 something pick. I don't think that's going to work out well. So,
well,
a little more. And I'm actually
so draft lottery is tonight. The draft obviously will not take place until after the finals have concluded. We're going to get an ad going here from Clovercrest Media, but when we come back, we'll be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals.
The Closing Time Podcast is back, sponsored by Rocky Hill Accountants. I'm Joe Aguirre. I'll have a brand new co-host, Sanam Salati, who's my broker, my mentor, and my good friend, and one of the most knowledgeable people in Connecticut in the entire real estate industry. We're going to be talking about the latest goings-on. We'll keep you up to date on the market, and we're going to bring on some really great guests all throughout this season, people in all different fields in the industry, like accountants, home inspectors, mortgage reps, and so much more, just to give you a better understanding of the Connecticut real estate market. We're so excited for a brand new season of the Closing Time Podcast, part of the CMG Podcast Network. It's sponsored by Rocky Hill Accountants. Go see Heidi and Glenn Parchman to file your taxes for bookkeeping, business advice, real estate investments, or whatever your accounting needs are, including cryptocurrency. Just visit RockyHillAccountants.com. We'll see you all season long on the Closing Time Podcast.
All right, so now here comes the awkwardness of introducing the Eastern Conference Finals. The Hawks defeated the 76ers in 7 games to earn a bid against Milwaukee, who defeated Brooklyn in 7 games. Game 1 tomorrow between the Hawks and the Bucks takes place at 8:30 p.m. on TNT. I'm certainly not going to go first. Isaiah, I'm going to have you go first. Why don't you tell me what you're looking forward to in this series? And I'm sure you're going to say some things about the last series, too.
Well,
I'm
thankful we don't have to see the 76ers no more. But, this is going to be an interesting series. This is the one series this whole playoffs I could think actually go either way. I've really felt certain ways. I really felt the Bucks were going to knock off the Nets. I really did tell you before that the Hawks were going to give the 76ers trouble if they weren't going to win that series. I said that before. This series I actually could see going either way, and it's based off the play of the Bucks. Giannis really isn't that great of a scorer. He's really probably reached his ceiling as a player, in my opinion. And I think with that as his ceiling, unless Middleton and Holiday really come on, it's going to be hard for them to get past this round because the Hawks team, they can shoot their ass off and they could play defense. So you're talking about a serious disadvantage for the Bucks, who, yeah, they play defense, but they didn't play defense that well against the Nets, basically allowing the Nets to do basically whatever they wanted to them. And obviously we've seen Durant go off for, what was it, 50-point, 60-point game, something like that the other day. So when you mix that all into it with the lack of defense and not scoring on offense between, Middleton and Holiday, it could get real ugly for the Bucks. And I can see the Hawks taking this series in 7. So Yeah, I'm sorry. I just see it happening. I don't want to. I don't want to see the Hawks go any further. But
Isaiah, one thing I will give you credit for is you've been high on the Hawks this whole postseason. Sean, I know you've been pretty hot on the Hawks lately as well. I mean, what has to be done for them to pull off the ultimate upset here and get to the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to bring it up, Lucas, but I just had to do a little recap of last series. I wish I was on the show because I had the Hawks in 6. You don't, if you don't believe me, that's fine, but I had the Hawks in 6. They got it done in 7, but I just think that they're a hot team that's getting it done at the right time. So I mean, sorry, and just on the Sixers, Doc Rivers has to go. That project's got to be done, and Benson, I'm not even gonna, you know what I'm gonna say about him. So, but anyways. Onto this series. I agree with Zay. I think the Hawks are a team that a lot of people are sleeping on. Ever since Nate McMillan took over for that job, they're 35-15. And this is a young team that's hungry. They know what they want to do. And so I think the X factor for them in this series is going to be their bench play. Lou Williams and Danilo Gallinari have been great really throughout this whole playoff run. I think they have an advantage over the bench of Milwaukee with Bobby Portis and Bryn Forbes. I think that the Bucks starting lineup is probably a little bit better than the Hawks, but I think that the Hawks will get that extra punch, especially scoring wise from their bench. And I think the advantage for the Hawks is that, but I think the X factor will be if the Bucks can defend the pick and roll, because Trae Young and either Clint Capella or John Collins have been dynamic with that. All throughout the playoff run too. If you go defend the big man, the Trae Young's got the open floater all day. If not, then he's got an alley-oop. So, but I think the Bucks are well suited to defend it with guys like Giannis and Brook Lopez who are good at the rim. But I think that will be a big key. And then for the X factor for the Bucks, I think that Giannis' free throw shooting. Obviously, the Hawks utilize Haka Simmons. I think they could do the same thing with Giannis if he doesn't figure it out from the line. So I think that's going to be huge for them. And then I didn't mean to bring up Simmons. I just had to, but and then the advantage I think that the Bucks have is that the Hawks are going to be without DeAndre Hunter, who I think that he's a great defender, and I think Chris Middleton. I think he's going to have a lot of success against Kevin Huerter, who is a fine defender, but I think that they'd be much better suited with DeAndre Hunter. So. I think that the advantage is that Chris Middleton will get a lot of buckets in this series, and he's going to have to if the Bucks want to win. But I agree with Zay. I have the Hawks winning this 1-7. I think that they're similar to the Heat team last year that is just playing great basketball at the right time, and I think that they'll go out and defeat the Bucks. Also, I mean, the Bucks, they haven't they've shown up this year for the playoffs, but obviously recent years they've had these disasters or fall downs at the end of the playoffs, and I think this is the series where it comes to fruition. So I know when I texted in the group chat the other day, I said Hawks are going to win, and Lucas said Bucks in 4. So I can guarantee it's not going to be a sweep. I could see the Bucks winning it, but I definitely think the Hawks are going to pull this off.
Listen. I obviously, by what Sean just said, you guys know I disagree. And there's no bias. I don't care that the Hawks knocked the Sixers out. Yes, there's big problems with the Sixers. We won't talk about that. Ben Simmons can switch to his left, to his right. He can shoot it with his feet for all I care. He's not going to be doing it in Philadelphia. I'll tell you that. Anyways, I think the Bucks are too determined. I mean, for them to go down 2-0 in the series against the Nets and come all the way back and win that series 4-3.
They lost Kyrie and Harden. Relax, bro. Relax. No one saw that coming.
But you're acting like they still didn't have the top pure scorer in basketball right now on their team.
Yeah. If KD didn't have those big-ass feet, though, we wouldn't be talking about this. The Nets would have won the series.
Well, here's what you got to understand about KD, and I keep telling people when they try to compare KD and LeBron. These are two different types of players. LeBron makes the players around him better. That's how he's able to get over these hills, these rough situations, because the players around him come up a level because that's what LeBron requires, and he also makes them better by his passing, in the way he scores. The players are playing off him. KD is a weapon. He's just a scorer. It worked out in Golden State because the other guys could basically hold their own, and KD could do what he had to do. He didn't have to worry about making guys play better. That's just, he went to a team where guys were already established. He's a weapon. He's not a guy who's going to come into your team and make the players around him better. It's never going to happen. That's never been KD. It's just not the type of player he is.
I mean, listen, they won the series regardless. Brooklyn was favored in that Game 7, and Milwaukee won it in overtime. I don't know. I just think Giannis is on a mission. He signed that big contract with the Bucks in the offseason. I honestly don't see this series going more than 5 games. You can call me crazy. These are two obviously
we call you crazy all playoffs.
Excuse me?
We call you crazy all playoffs.
Well, listen. I was right about the Wizards. I
would hope the number 1 seed can beat a play-in team. I would hope. If y'all couldn't beat the Wizards, y'all would have had some serious rebuilding issues.
Hey, you never know Russell Westbrook, the GOAT.
26 points lead in Game 4 of that series, or Game 5 of that series. Absolutely ridiculous that we blow that. I agree, Sean. I think the Doc Rivers project is over. Obviously,
he's not a good coach.
It's his fault. It's his fault. He's won a championship before.
With 4 Hall of Famers.
He's also been at the helm of like 5 of the top 7 playoff collapses in history. If we talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
He lost Chris Paul in the playoffs. That was his fault. Because Chris Paul's unreliable, just like right now.
I think
it's happened a lot too.
Teams
run Paul George right now. That Paul George looked terrible. Playoff P was awful, and now he's balling right now in the playoffs. And like Lucas said, there's so many collapses that he's had. Everywhere Doc Rivers goes, these collapses happen. So you could put it on the players but all the players he has are all stars, all NBA type players. But everywhere he goes, Doc Rivers teams collapse in the playoffs. So there's definitely some part with the Sixers players that have to change, but Doc Rivers, just wherever he goes, this happens. So I think at some point it has to fall on him too.
He had won a championship when we talking about how great of a coach he is. These people, y'all are terrible. I can't.
He won. That was so long. That was 13 years ago though, and he had Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett.
If they had won it this year, everyone would talk about, re-sign Doc. He's the best coach available. Give him more money.
Yeah, but they didn't make it out of the second round, so that's
not his fault. It's not his fault Ben Simmons can't shoot. It's really not his fault. I hate when they blame
game plan. How do you let your team give up a 26-point lead?
Yeah, you got to make some adjustments.
Bro, there's only so much you can do. When your players are butt around you, there's only so much you can do.
If it was just this year, then I would agree with you. But it's year after year after year this has been happening to Doc Rivers. So I think at some point some of the blame's got to fall on him too.
Ed Embiid, who can't stay healthy. Ben Simmons, who can't shoot. Tobias Harris was getting paid to do nothing.
I can't argue with any of these points, but it also falls on Doc Rivers, I believe.
You gotta rely on players like Shake Milton. Are you kidding me? What are we paying these other 3 guys for? And you want to blame Doc Rivers? You want to blame Doc Rivers, but you're paying 3 guys to do nothing. One gets hurt, the other can't make a free throw, and the other guy's barely there half the time. And y'all want to blame Doc Rivers? Jesus, this world.
Either way, Isaiah, I think it's a sticky situation. They're in a mess down there in Philly right now. A lot of figuring out to do.
How am I defending Doc more than you? This doesn't even make sense.
You know what? I'm not even going to get into it. We'll talk about the Sixers on another day on an off-season episode.
Lucas is done with the Sixers talk.
We have a very intriguing Western Conference Finals to get into after this next ad from Clovercrest Media. So we're going to run that for you guys first.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
So, like I mentioned before the break there, very intriguing series out in the West. Suns versus Clippers. The Suns won game 1. Without Chris Paul, the Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard as well, so both teams down a star. Game 2 tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Devin Booker had the game of his career in this is his first playoffs, guys, and he's playing like a seasoned vet. I mean, he knows how to win a basketball game. Sean, I'll ask you, if you're the Clippers, what do you do tonight to try and win this game?
I mean, stopping Devin Booker, that's a tall task right now. That he looks like you said, he looks like he's on a mission. He looked like he's been there before, and he's ready for the moment. So, I mean, you just got to hope that Devin Booker doesn't go off like that again. You might have to try to put, Paul George on him or something like that to try and slow him down. Even though Paul George is going to have to carry a lot of the weight offensively, I feel like, if you really want to stop Devin Booker, you might have to go to that if you're Ty Lue. But I think, this series is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, game 1, I think, was one of the better games in the playoffs. Just offensive fireworks all over the court. So if you're the Clippers, you got to continue to get contributions from the other guys like Reggie Jackson, who has been really good, really unexpected to this playoffs. Marcus Morris has to continue to shoot well. And I think, defensively as a unit, you got to try and shut down not just Devin Booker, but DeAndre Ayton, too, who was kind of having his way down low. And obviously, Clippers kind of go small ball most of the time. So I think it's really about clamping down defensively and then, getting contributions from the others. But I think the Clippers will make it a series. I feel like the national consensus is that, the Suns are going to get it done pretty quick in this one. But I think the Clippers have a shot to either push it to 6 or 7. I think the Suns will win. But I think the Clippers definitely aren't going to go out quiet. So I think they're going to win tonight, and I expect a really good series. But Devin Booker, that man's a problem. They got to figure out something with him.
Isaiah, I mentioned that both teams are down a superstar. Say both of these guys were coming back tonight and both teams are fully stocked. Which team has the advantage at that point?
Oh, I think if you had both these guys back, I still don't think you could pick a winner. You're talking about betting against Kawhi Leonard. You're talking about one of the most lethal mid-range shooters in the game who can rebound and play defense better than most players on the court. And you bring Chris Paul back on that other team, who obviously he makes that team better just by stepping on the court, by the way he leads them and orchestrates that team. So to pick a winner between those two, I think it's almost, when you add those two, it's almost just as even as it is now. But I think what it really is going to come down to is coaching. And I believe that as much as I think the Suns, like Sean said, the country has the Suns winning this, I probably have the Suns winning this. The Clippers have a good chance because Tyronn Lue mixes up that offense. He uses his whole entire team, not just a 6 or 7 man rotation. He's going to Terrence Mann. He's going to Rajon Rondo. He's going to DeMarcus Cousins. He's going to guys who, we don't see for a while, but he goes and he plays them when he needs to. And I think that's been a huge key to them getting over the injuries and whatnot that they've been dealing with throughout the playoffs. So I think if he can continue to mix the right amount of group of players together, I think he can continue to make that a series. But I think it comes down more to coaching as the players, because I think these teams are very, very evenly matched.
Yeah, I agree, Isaiah. I think these teams are very evenly matched. You saw it was a close game on Sunday, but the heroics of Devin Booker really helped the Suns march on in that one. Suns have lost 2 games this entire postseason. They've won 9, so they are very hot. Ever since that bubble last year, they've been on fire. This is a team you don't want to mess with. It's the role players, too. Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder really doing their thing. DeAndre Ayton, we'll consider him a second star, but he's also doing his thing down there. And obviously Chris Paul, he's been very spectacular for this team. just his impact alone, not even counting his play on the court, is just phenomenal for this team. So that should be an exciting series. Guys, I'm going to ask now. It's about time for that. Well, let's get a finals prediction going. Sean, you first.
I got the Hawks and the Suns. I believe that the Hawks are going to do it. I think it's going to be a good series between two really young teams that are both coming up. So, yeah, I would go Hawks Suns right now. I think the Suns will definitely win. I think the Bucks, I could see it going either way, but I just feel like the Hawks momentum that they have going on right now, I think it's going to carry them into the finals. And if we're doing finals predictions, I'd have Suns over Hawks, but I think these two conference finals are going to be very interesting, but that's the way I see it playing out. How about you, Jose?
This is a tough one. I think I have it like Sean. I think I see it Hawks, Suns. We get to see two young superstars on the rise get to play each other for the first time in the finals. I think that'd be awesome. And I'm also in belief that the Suns are going to be a really good team in the West for a very long time. So we're going to be seeing them in this position many, many times to come in the future, like similar to Golden State, how I don't know if they're going to be 6 times in a row, but I think they'll be here multiple times. So I'm going to go Hawks, Suns finals. I don't want to bet against the Clippers because Kawhi could come back, but yeah. Hawks, Suns, I just don't see Kawhi. He could, but Kawhi's the type of player who likes to wait till he's 100%. He's really, really, big on his body and care. We saw that when he got hurt with the Spurs, he didn't even come back from that ankle injury. So I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up.
Who wins the series?
Who wins the series? The Suns. You have to give it to the Suns, obviously. Especially if Chris Paul is back, you're going to have to go against. You're going to have the most experience on one side, maybe not finals experience, but the most, experience playing, I guess, that deep in the playoffs. So I guess you have to go with the Suns.
I'm going to stick with the Suns at the West. I mean, I just think they look too unstoppable right now, but obviously you guys know I'm going Bucks all the way. I think they're going to beat the Suns in the finals. It'll be a shame not to see Chris Paul get a ring, but I think Giannis will get his first ring and prove why he signed that extension with this Milwaukee team. So I'm going to go Bucks Suns, with the Bucks taking home the NBA championship. That will do it for today's show. We will be back on Saturday after a few more games of these conference finals, giving you some updated analysis on those games. And then very shortly we'll be getting to the NBA finals and right into the offseason. So a lot of exciting shows to come in the future. It's been a fun playoff so far. We're glad we can be with you guys right through this all. It's very exciting. The shout out to Jace for producing the show today. And then obviously, as always, Zay and Sean, thanks for being on with me. For the Posting Up podcast and Clovercrest Media, this has been Lucas Bolden. Peace.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.